So there's been some news coming out the last few months that has been escalating in its severity and frequency, and it all pertains to Donald Trump's health. If you've looked into it at all, or even noticed, opened your eyes, you'll have seen that Trump is clearly not in a good spot compared to where he was a year ago, certainly not 4 years ago, and definitely not 8 years ago. He almost looks like a different person now. He's gotten notably older, of course, but it definitely feels as though the age has affected him more harshly than the Republican Party and the White House want us to know. In fact, let me showcase one of Trump's highlight moments. And when I say that, I don't mean a moment where Trump is faltering in any particularly obvious way mentally. It's not one of those like trailing, sort of mumbling nonsense things he does where he doesn't really know what to say and he ends up going on some non sequitur rant. This is him talking fairly cognizantly, and knowing where he is and understanding things, and yet this is the way he talks. And on one hand, this suggests that even the ceiling for his mental capability has dropped this far, or it suggests that Donald Trump has just kind of always been so dumb that as his brain begins to diminish in its power, he is starting to, it's becoming harder to notice. Like, it's almost impossible to notice because, a demented Trump would talk the same as an undemented Trump, or be at least as stupid, as insane. And so, it's really hard to tell. Is Donald Trump going to have his political career destroyed by Republicans turning on him over what the DOJ has admitted is in the Epstein files about Trump? Will that end his political career? Will, even Senate Republicans move to impeach him? Or, and thus end his political career potentially? Or will it end with him maybe dying in office from his health catching up to him? We all know he's not the healthiest guy, but I don't know if you guys saw that 60 Minutes interview he did recently, but in that interview, his lips are white. They've got these blotches of white on them, and I don't mean, it's not like he was sucking, it's not cum, he wasn't sucking a dick as far as I know. I mean, well, he might have been, but still, what I mean is have you ever taken your lip and pinched it like this? And for a second, you saw it there for a second, watch. How it's white there before the blood rushes back in. You can do this on almost any part of your body where you press down and all the blood leaves and then you let go and the blood immediately flows back in. And it instantly comes back, right? Because I have normal blood flow, so my lip just instantly goes back to normal. Donald Trump's blood flow is fucked. It's fucked. And so he has that and it's just there. It didn't go away. It was just there the whole time on his gums, on his lips, on his tongue. And then, of course, we know he's got the swollen ankles, and he's got the weird shit going on with his calves as well. So we know his circulatory system is actively failing. He is maybe not going to die in the next day or the next month because of it, but it's not a good thing to deal with at an old age with a lot of comorbidities that make you at high risk to die relatively young. Donald Trump is starting to reach the end of the road, if only one of these many things was present. The amount of things that are now weighing on him and his future are severe. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Whether it be the Republicans turning on him in the coming weeks because of the DOJ's Epstein files info, or his health, kicking the chair out from under him, so to say, I don't think we've got all that much longer to be worried about the Trump era of politics. I could be wrong, though. But here's a highlight moment from when Trump is at the peak of his mental acuity. Now, if you end up liking this video, leave a like, a comment, a hype, and subscribe if you want to see more. But let's continue. President Donald Trump thinks no one knows what a magnet is. The polarizing president was in a conversation with Fox News about the economy when he veered off track to discuss China and magnetic trains.
President Xi is willing to do the railroad things. That's magnets, he said. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't have a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, in 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, because of tariffs. Listen, I called. I said, you're going to play the magnet. We're going to play the magnet tariff on you.
His confusion over magnetism is well documented. And the record suggests he was being sincere when he said nobody knows what a magnet is. During his diplomatic tour of Asia, Trump, 79, stood in front of service people of the U.S. Navy and said,
the new thing, it's magnets. So instead of using hydraulics that can get Hit by lightning, it's fine. You take a little glass of water, you drop it on magnets. I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't know.
Magnets, how do they work? Here's a clip of Trump saying it, by the way. If you think I'm memeing, this is him saying as much.
But it's so... President Xi was willing to do the rare earth thing, that's magnets. Now, nobody knows what a magnet is. If you don't have a magnet, you don't make a car. You don't make a computer. You don't make televisions and radios and all the other things. You don't make anything. It's a 30-year effort to monopolize a very important thing. Now, within 2 years, we'll have magnets, all the magnets we want, but we don't. Because of tariffs, I called. I said, listen, here's the story. You're going to play the magnet. I'm going to play the tariff on you. And for national security purposes, I raised the tariff by 100% over and above what they were paying, which was 55. So he was at 155%. Within 10 minutes, I got a call. We'd like to meet. And we settled it out. And we made a wonderful deal, great deal for our country.
Wonderful deal, great deal. So that is I would say, high cognitive ability Trump moment from lately, okay? A clip of Trump where he seems like he's pretty there compared to normal lately, and he's talking about how no one knows what magnets are. So that's it's really hard to tell. Is that just Trump being Trump, or is that Trump's brain melting? Because then again, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump has never known what a magnet is. I wouldn't be surprised if Trump thinks magnets come from, like, meteorites or something. Like, all magnets are extraterrestrial and come from off the planet, and there's a limited amount of them in existence or something. And if you think that's crazy, this is a man who ran on a hyper-isolationist policy. His plan was to cut off America from the rest of the world. No more trade, no more buying or selling to the rest of the world, because they're counter-tariffing us for our tariffs, so that's basically what he's running on. Is America for Americans, America first, all that, right? And that's what many of his supporters are cheering and jeering from the rooftops. And yet Donald Trump thought it was a good idea to do this. And believe me, his supporters are not happy. Why Trump is giving Argentina a $20 billion lifeline to help its failing economy. For those that don't know, the president of Argentina is a fascist, libertarian, hyper free market type guy. Trump is a big fan of him, and he's a big fan of Trump. They elected him in order to fix Argentina, to solve the crime and, really organized crime problems that were so prevalent there. But in return, there has been such an overwhelming economic crash that Argentina now needs a $20 billion bailout from the United States, which will be paid for by American tax dollars. As you can imagine, it doesn't matter how much conservatives like that the new president of Argentina is super anti-cartel, anti-organized crime, anti-gang, anti-crime in general. They don't care all that much about that. They like him for it, but they don't want $20 billion of their tax money going to bail out another country. And it especially doesn't make that other country or the person leading it or the policies that the person leading it believes in look good if now we're having to bail them out. Last I heard, Argentina was going to be winning all the time now that they had this guy. I guess not. I guess not. But yeah, people are not happy about this. And all I can wonder is Trump's brain melting? What made him think this was a good idea? What made him think that the people who elected him because they want tax dollars to no longer go outside of America's borders, what made him think his fans would be happy about this? Because they're not. This ironically comes off as a sign of Trump's mental decline more than anything else.
This week, the Trump administration authorized a $20 billion financial lifeline for Argentina as it faces a deepening economic crisis. But the justification of the deal has raised major questions and criticism about its merits. John Yang helps to break it down.
Amna, the United States is exchanging dollars for Argentine pesos to prop up that currency, which has been losing value recently. President Trump announced the move on Tuesday as he met with Argentine President Javier Milei at the White House, and he made clear that this is contingent on Milei's party winning legislative elections.
Seeing them together, isn't it wild how these hyper-populist, fascist weirdos, they're always such freaks. You look at them and they always look like the kind of guy that you would never feel bad about judging these guys by their appearance and saying, I'm going to hire a different babysitter for my kid. These are just not people who don't look like... here's how I'll say it. Trump and Javier Milei do not look like the kind of people who are definitely not pedophiles. You know what I mean?
Later this month.
I'm with this man because his philosophy is correct. And he may win and he may not win, but I think he's going to win. And if he wins, we're staying with him. And if he doesn't win, we're gone.
In addition, Treasury...
Imagine I get sued by Donald Trump and the president of Argentina. I hope so. I hope so. Every day, every stream, we're gonna call Trump a pedophile until he sues me. Okay? We're gonna make sure we point out his history with Epstein and all that stuff until he takes me to court for defamation. Although knowing how much of a retard he is, he might take me to court for libel, even though I said it. But that's beside the point. I need that motherfucker to take me to court for telling the truth. I would love for Donald Trump to take me to court. Because obviously, I mean, many of you guys have said, you know, the legal fees, y'all would cover them, y'all would support me, I know you would. But oh my god, how amazing would it be to be the, you know, one of the many people fighting Trump in court and demonstrating the fact that he does not care about freedom of speech. I feel like I'll be able to bait him eventually. If my channel gets big enough and I just don't fucking let off, he might actually try to do it. Throw a slap suit my way. And he knows I know that it's not a lie. So, you know, I hope. I hope one day. What if he tried libel, thrown out? You'd be so platformed? Well, my worry would be that he'd just go to YouTube to try to have me displatformed, actually. Like, imagine he just does that. He doesn't even bother suing me. He just demands YouTube ban me.
Secretary Scott Bessent has said the administration is trying to secure an additional $20 billion for Argentina through private banks and sovereign wealth funds. Monica DeBoll is an economist at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Monica, first of all, what's going on in Argentina that makes this necessary? Or
Well, all right, we don't need to dig too deep into this particular point. It's just another example of what I mean. That Trump is, on his best days, he's talking about how he doesn't know what magnets are like. On his normal days, he's making decisions like this that are extremely unpopular with the people who voted him into office. And I mean, like, really unpopular. And then on top of that, all the while, there's been an ongoing conversation about his apparently declining mental health. Well, I guess, yeah, his declining brain health. And a lot of people at first didn't seem to want to have it. But now we're getting to the point where Trump is as old as Biden was when people were giving Biden shit for being old. When people were giving Biden shit for being too old to lead the country, Trump is now that old. He is now in that range. People have this bias for Trump in some ways, but it's kind of fizzling away. Like, Trump's age is showing, and people aren't thinking of Trump as Trump anymore. They're starting to think of Trump as old Trump. Because he's gotten old. And you know, people knew of him as the guy with the wig, comb-over, blonde hair, but now he looks different than a lot of the old memes, you know? Like, he doesn't look the same anymore. He doesn't sound the same anymore. The AI voices don't sound like the Trump we hear speaking anymore. To an extent, the Trump that created MAGA is already gone. And it is slowly fading away with each passing day as Trump becomes this sort of lesser version of himself. And I don't even know if it's entirely because of mental decline. It could just be he's a tired old man. Like, you just have less, your batteries get depleted as you get older, you know what I mean? It's like a phone battery. You ever have a phone that you leave plugged in for way too long, way too often, and then, like, over the course of years, its max, like, charge time just keeps dropping? Like, you take it out and it only lasts 2 hours before it dies because you overcharge it too much? Humans are a bit like that with their energy. The older they get, the less time, even on a full battery, they have before they're just exhausted. Maybe that's what it is for Trump. Maybe he's just so old now that, like, one conversation, one speech, and he's gassed. Hard to say.
I mean, Republicans are in control of the House, the Senate, and the White House. If they wanted this shutdown to end, they could do it. And if
This is before the shutdown. Now, what she's referencing here, obviously, was the Republicans not moving to increase premiums for the Affordable Care Act and make healthcare unaffordable for Americans. Then the Democrats would have voted to open up the government way sooner. But unfortunately, yeah, little reminder of what could have been.
Or Mike Johnson or President Trump did not like what Russ Vought was doing, they could call him. They could easily tell him to stop. Trump is quite literally his boss. He is ultimately the one behind all of this. Trump is also the boss of all the Republicans in Congress, who eagerly do whatever he wants these days. And that's really concerning, because the boss is kind of out to lunch right now. I mean, according to Senator Chuck Schumer, he didn't even appear to know that the shutdown fight was over health care. It's not to mention that Trump seemed to forget exactly who Hakeem Jeffries was on Tuesday, even after meeting with him in the Oval Office a day earlier.
But he keeps doing this. He keeps forgetting really important people that he's met days before. He keeps forgetting he's talked to world leaders. He keeps making up conversations with world leaders that he's never met before, that he's never spoken to before, because they entered politics between his presidencies, and he hasn't spoken to them yet on the record, or at least as far as we know publicly. And so there's just this weird reoccurring thing where Trump used to have a pretty good memory. I'm not going to lie. Trump used to actually have a pretty good memory. He would bring up these memes and these talking points from years before and be like, you remember that? You remember that? You know, member berries. You know, he would do that all the time. He actually had a pretty good memory recall for certain cultural talking points and things he wanted to, like, dredge back up for a talking point. I don't hear him do that really anymore. If Trump has to talk about a past event, he's so vague these days. Who remembers when he was talking about the Revolutionary War soldiers storming the British airports? Remember how fucking ridiculous that was? Anytime he has to talk about events in the past, it's like a bunch of puzzle pieces have been taken out of the overall picture and random ones have been put in there. And he's listing off those details and it's like, what? Trump, how are you? And it doesn't even come off as him lying, because there's a difference. You can tell when Trump lies and when Trump thinks he's actually just saying reality. And when Trump talks like that, he thinks he's saying reality. I don't think Trump knew that he had spoken to these people. I think he had genuinely forgotten who they were, and the Trump of 8 years ago especially would not have. The Trump of 4 years ago would have brought up the conversation the Trump of 8 years ago had with that person. Am I wrong? I'm not the only one who's noticed this, right? Like, when Trump talks about any past events, it's so different now than back in the day. He's clearly lost his ability to recall memories.
More alarming, perhaps, is that this weekend, President Trump posted this to his Truth Social page. It's an AI-generated video that depicts a Fox News segment that never really aired, a segment that never existed. It featured an AI-generated version of Trump's own voice announcing a new government program for something called a medbed, which will replace our current healthcare system altogether. But here's the thing. Medbeds don't exist. They are actually a QAnon conspiracy theory. The idea...
Like, is Trump just so shameless now that AI medbed conspiracy, like fake AI-generated Fox News segments, are just on the table for him? Or is he such a boomer he didn't realize it was AI-generated? Or is he so brain-melted that he actually thinks medbeds are real? Like, it's really hard to tell. Because at the same time, to an extent, I kind of think Trump might have seen that AI-generated clip, and he's a Fox fan. He watches Fox and Friends. I don't think people realize how much of a normal, conservative boomer Trump is in his media consumption. Trump would wake up every day, or does. Trump wakes up every day, and his morning broadcast that he watches is Fox and Friends. One of the most popular shows in the country is the morning Fox and Friends show. It is extremely approachable, generally doesn't get super duper right wing. It's as milquetoast as Fox News gets, and it is meant to be the onboarding process. When you're like the average person up in the morning before work, looking to watch the news, you click onto Fox and Friends, and that's how they get people in. That's how they get people in to watch Fox all the way through the day, on their drive to work, while they're at work, and then especially after dinner when they do the Fox News at night. And that's when you get you would get Tucker Carlson on and the other grifters nowadays that push the hard conspiracies in the late night, like after dinner, lead up the dinner hours, right? But like Trump lives off of Fox News. The idea that his dementia-addled brain might see a clip generated by AI that looks like it came from Fox and just retweet it or post it is not that crazy. Trump is, for all intents and purposes, a demented boomer in office. Like your average demented Facebook boomer running the country.
Is that the government secretly has access to futuristic miracle beds that can cure all ailments and even do things like regrow limbs. Conspiracy theorists believe that
It's like the coffin that Doom guy from the Doom games like gets resurrected in. You know, like in the start of Doom 2016, he like wakes up, he's in the coffin. That's the med bed. There's only one.
JFK is actually still
Doom guy's med bed.
secretly alive, but you wouldn't recognize him because med beds not only healed him, but made him look remarkably youthful. Just to give you a sense on this conspiracy theory. The whole thing is completely cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, completely. And not only should the president have realized that because of, well, everything about it, obviously, but the president also should have realized that was not actually his voice in the video. He did not.
Wait, yeah, how did he not realize? It's literally a clip of him talking about med beds. How did he? I never quite realized that at the time. Yeah, he would have to be really cooked to have not realized he didn't say that. That also corroborates my point that I've noticed that anytime Trump has to recall anything from memory, he just falls apart. He can't do it. He can't talk about past events pulled from memory at all. He can't talk about... I don't think Trump remembers what he had for breakfast this morning. And it's only 10 a.m.
Actually do an Oval Office address about med beds. But still, Trump posted that to his Truth Social page and then deleted it. Now, yesterday at the White House press briefing, Trump's press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, was asked the incredibly valid question of why Trump posted that video to begin with. And this is how she responded.
I think the president saw the video and posted it and then took it down. And he has the right to do that. It's his social media. He's incredibly transparent, as you all know. You hear from him directly on social media. He likes to share memes. He likes to share videos.
Hey, you got a little something on your nose. We got more brown nosers over at the White House just saying whatever they have to cover for Trump. But in all seriousness, though, what's so scary to me is that a lot of people said they didn't want to vote a woman into office in 2016 because they legitimately thought that women were too emotional and that the president would have too much power to, like, hit a button and potentially end the world, right? Like, nuclear war button. And what if, like, a woman gets emotional and decides to do that? It's the most absurd, nonsense talking point imaginable, rooted in immense amounts of sexism. But ironically, right now, we've got a dementia-addled weirdo running our country who could literally just put one of his Diet Cokes down on top of the nuclear launch button on accident and destroy the planet. We've got that guy leading things, and the very same people who are worried a woman would be too emotional to lead the country, those are the people who are all good with what's happening now. Well, that's interesting logic. That's all I'll say on it. That is interesting logic. Well, hey, if you liked this video, you liked what I had to say, you enjoyed it, you found it entertaining, then consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Hype the video up so it gets out to more people and gets boosted in the algorithm. Follow my social medias linked down below, and don't forget to subscribe. But thank you, as always, for watching. Hopefully I'll see you again.